What you see here is on the right side, this is Zarathustra. Okay, on the right side, Zarathustra. In the middle, of course, is the holy fire. And on the left side is a king named Shah Goras. And it said that he gave up when he met Zarathustra, he converted to his religion, and he gave up his kingship. He gave up his king to his son Vishtaspa. Okay, and he spent all his days in prayer and worship. You'll see this in all of our temples. And instead, our Afghani here, okay, is something that is much easier to operate. Okay, it does not require wood. It instead runs on alcohol, methyl alcohol. And the nice thing about methyl alcohol here is that you don't need a gas line, okay? And when it burns without smoke. So it makes it easier to breathe in here, okay? All right? But this is the Afghani that we will pray to, okay? Also, the fire naturally goes out. I don't have to do anything to make it. I'm averse to putting out the fire. So when the alcohol runs out, it naturally runs out, okay? And so I will lead services from here. And so we'll be here, we'll have the fire start, and we'll pray. The fire is something, we don't worship the fire. This is very important. The fire is instead something toward which we direct our prayers. We believe that the spiritual energy of Ora Mazda, it will come through this fire and come to everybody who is here praying together.
Because it has light.
That's right, exactly.
So if this fire was open, the direction of these chairs would be
facing the fire, correct.
Okay. So the direction is always towards the fire.
Correct. So as you know, after the advent of Islam in Iran, Zoroastrians left Iran and came to India, where we've lived for over 1,000 years. And we've set up temples in India, okay? And we set up fire temples where fire is in the center of the temple. And this Afghani once had fire on top of it. And this is from a closed temple that was closed in India, okay? And the trustees of that temple generously donated it to us. So this is an Afghani. It is about 200 years old. There's an inscription written in Gujarati, which is the local language of that part of India. On this side here, it will tell you, I think it tells you the name of the family who donated the money to create this Afghani. And there used to be fire on this. And in our temples, you have fire 24 hours a day. You have priests, they come, and they rotate, and they keep the fire going. And so the fire was going on this for about 200 years. Every room has to have, right, the firefighters have to, right, you have to come up to the fire code, right, and they were worried about, what's this fire doing in here? So we had to explain this to them, and they had to understand, and they made it clear, okay, no, fire must never be unattended. If there is fire, someone must be here. In Iran, okay, people will not wear this in Iran because it marks you out as being Zoroastrian, okay, which is not necessarily good in Iran, right? In India, it's a little different. In India, Parsis in India are seen as being not part of, as being separate and not part of any other fight, okay? And so people are very comfortable in India showing that they're wearing the Sadr and Kasti, okay, in India. So it's a little bit different there. In America, we are trying to get people to wear Sadr Kasti, or children. It's not easy, right? Because kids don't want to have to wear something they're forced to wear.
And this reminds you, a Kasti again is something that...
Exactly. It reminds us to do good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. It is our daily prayers. Okay? It reminds us to be spiritual. The Sadr we wear also has meaning that way as well. And that the sacred thread, it is related as well to what because our religion has connections to Hinduism. So Hindus will wear a thread over their shoulder, for example. And people who are Jewish will wear a thread around their waist as well. So. Then there'll be Middle Persian, a language called Pazam, which is Middle Persian, that is religious, and then there'll be some that's Farsi. A little bit will even be Farsi. Okay. All right. But yes, so it's many different languages, for example. Yeah? Let me give you, if you're going to take a picture of a prayer, remember the Ashembahu prayer? This is the Ashembahu prayer. The symbol over there, I'm sure you've seen this. This is the Fravashi or Farohar. Okay, and you could, and it's an ancient symbol. It goes all the way back to the Achaemenian Empire, and before, and is also related to Babylonian symbols. Okay, from that time as well. And so you can see that the winged figure holds the ring of kingship. You might see this in a lot of the rock reliefs that you see in the area. There's a king, he's holding the ring. Oh, yeah. The ring means I am king, okay? That's how you know he's the king, he's holding the ring of kingship, okay? All right, and so we have that there. But today, what the Farohar means to us today, okay? To us, it means it represents a spiritual part of yourself, okay? Your Fravashi is a spiritual being that is part of you, who guides you through your life, and only does, and it is a part of you that is always good. It represents the part of you that is always good. The Fravashis are believed to have been created at the time the universe was created, and when evil came into the world, the Fravashis agreed to take human form. Okay, they take human form and come to Earth, where now they could potentially do bad things, right? But they are here on Earth to take human form to fight evil. And then when we pass away, then our Fravashi is still there. So our Fravashi exists from the beginning of time to the end of time. Okay? And our Fravashi cannot be corrupted by the bad things we do. Our Fravashi is a part of us that is always good.
Part of us?
Exactly. So there is a separate component that you might call the soul. We say Urvan. And it comes into being when you're born. Okay? So Fravashi has always existed for all time. Urvan comes into being when you're born. It can be corrupted by the bad things you do in life. And your soul is what will be judged after you pass away.
Not your Urvan.
Not your Fravashi. Your Fravashi is always trying to guide you to do good things.
Kind of.
It's a spark of God inside.
That's right there.
Okay,
exactly.
yeah.
Inside all of us. All of us. Everyone has a Fravashi. Everybody. My name is Hormuz Katki. I fill in as our local priest, or a lay priest, really, for our religion here at the Kamran Dar-e Mehr here in Boyd's, Maryland. This is a community center for worship in the Zoroastrian faith.
Okay, many scholars debate whether Zoroastrianism is truly monotheistic or dualistic, but instead of relying on academic interpretations, I'd love to hear directly from you. How would you define it? Would you say it's monotheistic, dualistic, or something entirely different?
Yeah. So I actually talked about this this morning with the children. That Zarathustra is thought to be, okay, the first religious thinker to propose a monotheistic religion. By which I mean there are other deities and spirits and angels, okay, but they are subordinate to him, or they are personified aspects of Ahura Mazda. Okay, and we think we know this because Zarathustra, he wrote his songs. They're called the Gathas, and they are written in the most ancient Sanskrit. So they are about 4,000 years old. So that's why we think he was the first to say that, because his words are 4,000 years old. Okay. And in that it makes it clear that Ahura Mazda is God who we worship. There is no mention of an opponent to Ahura Mazda in the Gathas. There's no definite, okay, not mentioned by name. That concept comes later on into our religion. And so I know why people say our religion is dualistic, in that we're always saying there are good things and then there are bad things, or there are evil things, right? Yeah. Okay, but it's clear that our religion is good in the sense that we are worshiping Ahura Mazda alone.
I've heard that fire holds a sacred place in Zoroastrian practice. Could you explain how fire helps believers feel closer to Ahura Mazda, and why it has remained such a central symbol through history?
So fire for us is central. It is in the center of all of our temples. Fire is in our mythology the last creation of Ahura Mazda. So after Ahura Mazda created the universe, the earth, plants, animals, humans, the last creation was fire. Okay, the seventh creation was fire.
And it's called Atesh?
Atash, exactly. Atash, exactly. And this, of course, goes back thousands of years. The veneration of fire predates Zarathustra, and it is something that he, we believe, put into the center of our faith. For us, fire represents the fundamental truth that we're always trying to find out and understand about the world. We're trying to learn truth at all times, the fundamental, deepest, most meaningful truths. The fire, in a spiritual sense, also represents the spirit of the community. So for the fire that we have in our temples, the fires are created by contributions from everybody in the community. So, for example, people of different professions will contribute. If you have someone, a warrior could contribute something to the fire. A farmer contributes something to the fire. The king contributes something to the fire. And that fire is then kept burning for 24 hours for a long time, for thousands of years. Our longest fire in India has been burning for 1,300 years, and in Iran for 2,000 years. Okay? And so it represents the spirit of the community going forward. When we pray in front of the fire, it gives us spiritual energy. We are not worshiping the fire. That is important. We are not worshiping the fire. It is only where we direct our spiritual energy toward and we receive spiritual energy from.
Yes, a lot of people, unfortunately, they like to say that
Correct.
fire worshippers, but it's
Correct.
not true.
Correct.
The phrase good thoughts, good words, good deeds is often described as the moral foundation of Zoroastrian life. So how do you personally apply or reflect this principle in your daily actions and relationships? I can see it right now happening with this interaction.
Yeah. So it is a mantra that goes back even before Zarathustra. So it's humata, hukta, huvashta in the oldest language. Good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And it is a simple creed that can be remembered by anybody immediately. That this is what we do. This is the central part of how we should think about living our lives. And so that it gives a simple clarity to everything that we have to do.
And as you know, everyone here should know, Zoroastrianism is one of the world's oldest religions, yet it's a minority today. How do you see its future, especially among younger generations, and what are some ways the community sustains its identity in modern times?
Yeah. So in our religion, we are in a time of great change. For thousands of years, we were the state religion of the various Persian empires. And then everything changed with the advent of Islam, and Islam became the majority religion of the Persian Empire. Okay, and so a group of my ancestors left ancient Persia, came to India, and so for over 1,000 years we lived in villages along the west coast of India, the northwest coast of India, and then we migrated to Bombay. Okay, and over time we became more educated, and we became professionals. And then many of us were able to move to the West, starting in the 50s and 60s and 70s. Many of us were not able to come to the West and live here, where things are very different now. And one of the big questions here is, how in the West are we going to create a particularly Western kind of Zoroastrianism? Because the things that we can do in India, we can't do here in America. That's right. It's hard for us to, we want to maintain exactly some traditions and bring them over, but we also know some things are going to change. And perhaps the biggest thing that is changing is who we are ethnically, racially and ethnically. In the West, many of us, like I have, we have married non-Zoroastrians. And initially that was the minority, but I believe now for the generation that is born and raised in America, because there's so few of us, and it's going to be the majority of us. And so we're now going to have a world of Zoroastrians, a small community still, but one that will now be multiracial, multi-ethnic, and we'll have to find ways to be able to transmit, to instill the view that the religion in our children, have them believe it, have it be meaningful to them, so that they want it and that they can pass it on. And so we are just starting out here in the West, and we're doing things differently, okay? And we're trying to be more open, and we want to be, I think slowly over time, that there's a lot of arguments about these kinds of issues, and in India and Iran, the community survived by only marrying within itself and being quiet and being careful to not offend the existing rulers. In America, in the West, the survival maybe is going to be different. I think it's going to be about accepting people who have married non-Zoroastrians. We don't have to only marry within, and so we don't nowadays. And and that means we have to accept. And I think being open and accepting that kind of religion may be more appealing to me, to my children, and to people born in the West.
Wish you lots of success.
Thank you.
And is there one passage or hymn or prayer that you think carves a universal message, something you believe all human beings should know? Would you mind sharing it with me?
So there are three fundamental short prayers in our religion, and so the first and foremost is a prayer called Hashem Vohu. Okay, and Hashem Vohu goes like this. Okay, it goes like this: Hashem Vohu vahishtemasti ushtawa hiatashai vahishtai Hashem. And it talks about how Hashem Vohu talks about how righteousness is the most important good thing that you can do. It also brings true spiritual fulfillment. And that the only way to be spiritually fulfilled is to do what is right by seeking out fundamental truth. So your goal in your life is to find what are the deepest, most fundamental truths of life, so that you can act on them and be righteous. And through that, you will achieve inner, personal, spiritual fulfillment.
So that gave me goosebumps. It was really beautiful. Would you mind sharing something from his teachings, maybe a quote, verse, or saying? I'd love to hear one of his messages.
Okay. So the Hashem Vohu is probably, that I just said there, that's probably the kernel in just 12 words. If he gave me only 12 words, the kernel of the message that has been given to us by Zarathustra. Zarathustra lived 4,000 years ago at a time where at that time the Aryan tribes were nomads. Mm-hmm. They didn't live in villages. They wandered the earth, and there were wars. They fought. They destroyed the land. They overgrazed the land. Then left it a desert. They killed animals. And Zarathustra said that from now on, that this way of life must come to an end. We must settle down. We must live in villages, in civilization, with rule of law. And Zarathustra in his Gathas talks about this, okay? That we live in, our goal is to live in a society where there is a rule of law. In that society, we try to perfect ourselves. By perfecting ourselves, we perfect society. And Zarathustra talks about what are the characteristics of people who should be our leaders, who should be our rulers, what should they be like. And so our religion is fundamentally very practical about how we should organize ourselves into society, and how we should practically live our lives together.
And this, in turn, this is not one of the questions I wrote, but I heard
Please.
that basically, like that dualistic thing, that good and evil, and Ahura Mazda will always win, obviously. But is it true that we are his helpers in helping the light win faster or something?
That is correct. So Ahura Mazda is very powerful, mm-hmm. But our scriptures say that for the end of time, when the world will be renewed and made perfect, mm-hmm. for perfection to happen in the world, he needs the help of us humans, our followers who have taken human form as us. Mm-hmm. And so that's the fundamental role of humanity in this, that we have to perfect ourselves. We have to perfect our society. Only through that we'll really have a renewal of the earth, and we will be able to achieve perfection. But Ahura Mazda needs our help as humans.
And this is the last question, just to comment on that. Do you think he needs us, or even if nobody did good, he would still win?
I think our scriptures are clear. He needs us.
Oh, okay.
He needs us. That we have to do our part.
And which is why he created us.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yes, and today, unlike before, you are able to convert to Zoroastrianism.
So this is a very controversial topic, okay, and it is difficult. One of the things, we have historically not done it because we do not want to offend the rulers in Iran or in India, and we do not, and so it's been forgotten. So we don't do it. But now we're in the West, and it's different here, okay. And in the West, people have approached us. People who have read about the religion and truly believe. Okay, and right now there's no path to formal conversion. Okay, anywhere, in large part because even people who are sympathetic to that worry about what that might mean for our co-religionists in Iran and India, especially in Iran, where that is completely forbidden, for example. So it is something right now we tell people, you are free to worship with us. Come to our Dar-e, Mehr, come to our community center, come be in the room with us, come be with me. You can be here with the Akdash, say your prayers with me, okay? But right now we will stop short of formally having a ceremony to convert you to the religion. We will not do that right now.